Hello and welcome back to my harp studio. My name is Victoria Hughes of VictoriaHarpist.com, and I am a San Francisco Bay Area based harp teacher. I retired from performing a few years ago and I now teach full-time and I love it. I teach children and I teach adults. I teach in person and also by Zoom. Now, I teach something called the Salzedo technique, and it is a fabulous technique. It concentrates on the sound that we're making on each string. We want to make a beautiful, full, and powerful and clean sound. When I say clean, I mean no buzzes or any other noises. The Salzedo technique believes in the harp as a strong and powerful, pure and clean instrument. And we also like to focus on keeping our hands relaxed. So it's a really fabulous technique, and it works on any kind of harp, whether you're playing a little lap harp or a Celtic harp or one of the larger harps. It will serve you well on any type of harp. Now, this video is number 3 in a series of 10 that I am doing for adult beginners. Now, our previous lesson was on correct hand technique. We went into quite some detail on that. And we focused on the right hand and the right arm. This video is going to lead off from that, and we're going to be focusing on our left hand and our left arm. So if you notice, my wrist is in, my left arm and elbow is sticking straight out to the left. My wrist is in this much. We don't want to put our wrist in so much that this happens and we get distorted, nor do we want to put our wrist out like that. We want to keep it just about like this. Now, I always say to think of your wrist as an extension of your arm. So our wrist stays the same with our arm, meaning it's like we're punching the harp from the left in a straight line. Okay, in the Salzedo technique, there's no fluidity or movement really of the wrist. We don't move our wrist up and down like this. We don't let our arm go down because that will mess up the angle of our wrist. And we don't want to move this way or this way. Now, sometimes when beginners start and they're getting used to looking at their left arm right in front of them, some people might try to do this to get their hand closer to them. Other people might try to do that. So we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. We just want to keep our wrist at this one fixed angle. So here's a good look at how our left hand will appear to us when we are playing. A couple of things. We talked about the wrist being in. You can see my wrist. You can see that my elbow and my arm are sticking straight out to the left. I have my second finger on the C below middle C, and I'm not using my thumb. Therefore, my thumb remains in the air. Okay, we don't play like this or like this unless we've already played a string, and then the thumb plays and stays. But when we're not using the thumb, it remains relaxed and in the air. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the curving of our knuckles. And I'm going to move my thumb down on purpose so that we can see my curved knuckles. All right. You will notice that both knuckles, the one closest to my fingernail and the one on top, are both curved. This is always how we want to play the harp. Okay, we never want to play concave. Okay, we don't want to play concave. If I play concave, then I'm not able to wrap around the string like I can do when both of my knuckles are curved. Okay. A point of confusion for many beginners is what to do with their other fingers, because people find that these fingers, okay, want to come in like this because they have a hard time keeping them out. So because we're going to play our second finger, and I talked about this in the right hand video as well, we are allowed to take our second finger and put it out a little bit in advance of the others, just to tell our brain that we are playing the second finger. Okay, and that makes it seem like these other fingers, I'm going to move my thumb on purpose, makes it seem like 3, 4, and 5 are in. Okay, they're a little bit in, but they're not like this. They're just a little bit in. So when I take my hand away from the strings, this is how I look. Okay, but the confusion comes for people when they feel like these fingers are going to get in their way and they don't know what to do, so they go like this. Okay, you can take your hand away from the strings, make it into that relaxed cup-like shape. We don't want to be an up and down cup, nor do we want to be a cup that is all the way over to the side. We want to be a cup that is on a slant, the same slant as the sounding board. And when I take my second finger to play it, and I put it out a little bit in advance, it does not mean that my other fingers have gone in that much. They're just a little bit in, okay? We don't want to play like this with these fingers out. We don't want to play with them in. We just want them to be like this. And like I said, the act of putting my second finger out makes it seem as though these fingers are in a little bit, and they are in a little bit, but they're not in that much. We still have an open hand. And in the Salzedo technique, we want our hand to be relaxed. We don't want the back of our hand to be tight like this. That's why when we play one note, we always open up our whole hand again. And you reach deep into your palm so that you wind up with a fold, something like this. We don't want our fingers to be completely concave in our hands. We want them to be slightly curved. You can see that if we look at it from the side. So here I go again. I'm going to open up my hand. Second finger is going to come out a little bit. I'm going to go to the F string this time. And my other fingers are just a little bit in. Just a little bit in. And there we go. And then we'll go back to the C. And it's very important that you make sure that the string is squarely in the middle of the ball or the pad of your finger. Do not play on the edge or the tip of your finger. Make sure that it's really planted in the middle of the fleshy part of your finger. And that also enables us to curve both knuckles around the string. So that's very important. And only you know where the ball of your finger is, because it's something that you have to feel. So this is an angle of our left hand that we would normally never see when we're playing, but I thought it was important to show it so that everybody could see exactly how our fingers sort of float in the Salzedo technique. I know that it's very hard when you're starting that your fingers want to curve in like this, but we don't play the piano like this, and we're not going to play the harp like this either. These fingers need to be out into an open, floating position. Now, if you notice, my second finger is out a little bit in advance of the others, and that makes it seem like these fingers are in a little bit, and they are in a little bit, but they are not in this much. They're about like this. All right, well, I want to thank you for joining us for our third lesson, which was on the left hand and the left arm. And our next lesson, the fourth one, is going to be on the thumbs. After that, we're going to progress very quickly to the rest of our fingers, so it's really going to get quite exciting. If any of you want to take lessons or you have any questions, you can contact me at my website, which is VictoriaHarpist.com. And until I see you next time, happy harp playing, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Okay, thank you.